All right. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Team Next Level Coaches Roundtable. We've got a special one for you here today. We've got two of our athletes who just completed the Philly Marathon this past weekend. One of them is our everyday co-host, James. James, how you doing?
I'm doing a lot better than the post-race. I'm walking and going up and down stairs normally.
Great. And we've also got teammate Koichi with us. Koichi, how you doing today?
Hey, very good. Legs
Awesome.
are still tight, but they're recovering.
Awesome. And as always, we're joined by Coach Rich and Coach Marilyn.
Hey.
Hello.
So we thought we'd take it while it was fresh in everybody's mind and do a little race recap. This was James's first attempt at the marathon. And Koichi, this was number 3 or number 4 for you?
Second one.
Second one. Oh, okay. But lots of half marathons and trail marathons and stuff like that.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So I guess what we thought we'd do first is just kind of get your overall vibe that you felt for the race. Like just give us a 1 or 2 minute recap of kind of the real key points things that stick out in your head, things you remember from race day.
You go ahead, Koichi.
Yeah, I think this is a totally different experience. In the past, I've trained, maybe run once a week, and ran the Philadelphia Marathon early 2000s. Didn't know anything about nutrition, hydration, just volume training, go slow to go fast, any of that. And somehow I made it in about 4.5 hours. I was pretty happy, although I did have to stop at the 18-mile mark for the wall. But this time, it was completely different. So Coach Greg and everyone else's support here, just going through regular training every single day, some kind of workout. And the experience was completely different. Just I knew I could do it, had a pace schedule, had nutrition plan, and I just enjoyed the race a whole lot more than the previous ones. A heck of a lot more.
You enjoyed the whole time.
I did. I was looking around, just taking it all in.
Smile the whole way.
Smiling the whole way.
If anybody knows Koichi, he
Yeah.
always has a smile on his
Always
face.
smiling.
When
pictures.
I met up with Koichi, he stayed around for me to finish, and we took some photos. We were talking. The smile, we always see him smile, but the smile on his face was double the size normally. Like, he was just so happy. I was like, I don't know. He was just extreme joy, and I was so happy for him to see him so happy. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see he was definitely enjoying himself.
And I think we should talk a little bit so your first marathon,
Yeah.
15 years ago, probably 10 years ago.
I'd say, 15 years ago.
Okay. Was a 4:30. You put up a phenomenal time of 3:34.
334, 50
A
something.
little bit under 335.
Yeah.
334.
so
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So you took an
52
hour
seconds.
off your time
That's
from
amazing.
15 years ago. You're how old are you? 52?
50 right now.
50 right now. So I mean, that's a phenomenal. That just everybody needs to kind of
Mhm.
absorb that
Yeah, take that
performance.
in.
That's a
Mhm.
phenomenal improvement. And like you said, just the consistency day to day, consistent training, fueling properly, and all that stuff has made a huge difference. So kudos to you, man. It was it was
seriously.
awesome to kind of follow on the tracker and stuff, and then talk to you afterwards. It was great.
And James and I were looking at our stats. I was looking at the Garmin stats from at least one of the half marathon, the Philly. And my heart rate was peaking at 190, averaging 170, 175. And when we were looking at the latest stats for the marathon, just much lower, consistent.
Mhm.
I wasn't petering out at all. And I just felt great, this is good. I can go more, but I need to stick with the plan.
And who's your coach again?
What about you?
Well, you guys know I had mixed feelings about this one because I like I said, I went in first signing up for this thinking I need to finish a marathon just to know that I can finish one. That was my initial goal. And then as training went on, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I could finish. So my goal was sub 4 was my goal based on, I don't know what, that just seemed like a good number. And then later on, I was getting even more greedy. My secret goal was the 345. super secret was like a 3:30.
That was your Garmin goal.
That was your Garmin
Yeah, my
goal.
Garmin goal said 3:27. Part of me was like, let's test that. So, yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little disappointed, but I'm trying to process the whole day, the whole experience, the journey up to it. Like Rich said, it's all about the journey. The journey was great. Like I was so disciplined. I got into a really good groove. I've never run that consistently in my life. I think it was somewhere in, maybe it was, I forget what, August or was it September or sometime around there. Greg was like, you texted me like, you haven't missed a single run workout yet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. And then when you told me that, I was like, I'm not going to miss another one after. Like I just was determined. So got into a really good groove. It was just, I think mile 18, the things started falling apart for me. My good friend Cramps came back with a vengeance, and just to see my goal slip away, like literally in front of me, I saw it slip away. Like, you know, in the Olympics, like when they swim, you see that like the world record line, and like you're there. I think it was like
the
5K left. The pace guy passed me with like 5K left, and that was during my like planned walk interval. When I saw him, I was like, no, I can't take this walk interval. I got to just let these last 5K, I got to dig whatever I have. And so I try to keep up with it as long as possible. And at some point I just couldn't. I just saw him fading away. And that feeling of like, it was like despair or something. It's like my mind was willing, but the body would just not cooperate. So to visually see my goal slip away was just crushing at the moment. And so it's hard for me to let go of that right now. But I think eventually I will like put it all together and be like, you know what? It's a great experience. It's not an easy thing to do. That number is just like an arbitrary number. But to come so close, like 28 seconds within my goal, I'd rather have been 28 minutes off.
Yeah, when you come in close, it's hard. Plus, we got to talk about the weather.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
Mm.
You have the wind, the cold.
What were like race time stats? Do you guys know what the temperature was at the start?
They said 18 degrees with the wind chill. So it was 30 something, but wind was like 14, 15 miles an hour with 30 mile per hour gusts. Yeah.
And we felt it.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And that'll take a toll for sure.
But me being me, I'm like, well, everyone was in that condition. And
right.
people,
so everyone probly has.
Like Koichi then should have had like a 320 maybe, or 315 in it, I think. Like, but going by that math.
Why not?
Did either of you like have someone you constantly saw during the run? Like you were running with one whatever person you were chasing or talking to, or were you inside your head the whole time?
I would say in the beginning, I had a little pace group going, but then just with the run, jog type of plan, I did lose them, meaning I think I passed them, which is a good thing. And then in my head, I was just thinking, like, how am I going to explain this to Greg? That I'm going a little faster than planned, and then I just kind of justified it. Just felt good. But we did plan it out, like first 3 miles, just feel it out, and then determine how it go. But yeah, there were several people at different times throughout, but nobody consistently was with me.
I had like 2 people exactly, like first half of a race, some guy in like a green jersey. I think it was the Eagles jersey of some sort. I was like, all right, I'm beating this guy.
Okay.
And so I focused on that. And then later I was like, I really said, you know what? I got to stay under control. Like that's what in my head, I was like, I got to stay under control. Like try not to play these games. It's hard not to. And then later there's this lady too, that on the second half, we were, even with my run walk breaks, we were like seesawing back and forth. And I was like, all right, she's about similar pace with me. I got to keep up with her. And then she too, with the pacer at the end, passed me. And so it was like a double whammy. I was like, like it's gone again.
Yeah. You know, you both touched on, the run walking or the run jogging. Can you just give a couple of like thoughts on that piece for you? How did that go?
I started doing that probably when I started training for AC, I think. And it's basically you run for a set interval time and then you take a planned walk break. So it roughly works out to about like running for like a mile and then taking a minute walk, which is longer than what's recommended, but it works for me. So I was doing 9-minute run intervals with a 1-minute walk interval, and it helps me mentally, one, to break up long distances into like, oh, it's like I'm doing a workout of 26 intervals versus trying to run 26 miles. And then that walk also helps you recover. So I feel like I can push a little bit harder in the run portion, knowing that I'm going to have some time to recover. So mentally, physically, it works for me.
That was your plan, and you feel like you executed that?
That was my plan. Did I execute that? Not really.
What happened?
So, the first mile I felt really good. And I was like, I'll jog the first interval.
Uh-huh.
I think I told you could do that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I think so. I know I told you.
Yes.
And
I'm pretty sure I told you because my thinking was everybody was going to be crowded.
Mm-hmm.
The adrenaline was going to be fired up. It would have been like trying to stop at that point, like just getting your pace, skipping that first one. I think I know I told you, Koichi. I'm not sure if I told you or not.
no, you didn't tell me. I
that's
think
fine.
you probably didn't trust me with that. And
Possibly.
then I made the game time decision. And then my second interval, I skipped and I just kept running because I still felt really good. But I was holding myself back because I know I could have gone. I knew I was running faster than my prescribed pace, but I felt my heart rate felt very low. I wasn't breathing heavy, and I was consciously making an effort to hold myself back. And when I looked at the number, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm running this fast, but I kept trying to throttle back.
You did have a tailwind for those first couple miles.
So that's probably,
That's part of it.
exactly. So, and then, so I said to myself, I'm going to just run till 3 miles, like a 5K, and then I'll go into my intervals. And then my intervals, I ended up cutting short too. I just jogged a lot of them, or I jogged the beginning, walked the middle, and then started jogging with like 15 seconds left. So it wasn't like dead stop walk the whole time and then go right. I was like making it a shorter walk, but easing in and out of it.
What about you, Coach?
Yeah, I love the run walk or run jog method, especially when it's programmed in your watch that you can follow something. And what I love as being a data guy, I can see that my heart rate was dropping. Like it was in zone 5 when I'm running, and then dropped down to like zone 5.2, and then dropped down to 4.7, 4.8. That's when I knew, all right, I'm slow enough. This is a good pace, and then I'll pick it up. And then it's always, I remember in the workouts, it's like, yeah, run faster. You tend to run faster when you're in the run part because you've just kind of recouped your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart rate's down, and then slowly, burn down a little bit more until the jog portion again. I felt that was great. It also allowed you to like take nutrition if you needed to, or just adjust anything. Just helps to have almost an excuse to take care of your body and your equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And did you execute it like to the T?
I would say so. I remember certain things like Greg and even James were talking about. Just look, when you're taking the hills, go a little bit slower if you need to. But when you're going downhill, just try to recoup. And sometimes I would skip a jog period just to go down a hill, and then I would try to do that jog period right afterwards. But I just wanted that speed going down. I didn't want to waste that energy.
It was smart.
Yeah.
I looked, both of you had the same mile on the race, was your fastest mile of the day. And that was like at 15.4, you had a big downhill. And so you like, that was your fastest point. So I was impressed that like your fastest mile of the race for both of you was well over halfway through the race.
And I think if I remember that, like, because mile 7 or 8 is where like the bigger climb started, and then you stayed at that elevation for a while, and then you came back down, and you could see it, like you were looking down, like
on the map, it looked like you were coming out of kind of like a park onto Kelly Drive, right along the river. So that stretch there was for both of you the fastest.
Yes.
That was
Coming around
Koichi, that was your fastest 5K too. That middle stretch, which I was hugely impressed by. James, your fastest 5K was your first 5K.
I could have run it even faster.
I'm sure. Your watch said 19 something, right? You could.
Oh, yeah, the Garmin test. Oh man.
So then, go ahead, Mara.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
The next thing on the list. What were you going to say?
I was going to say how nutrition went.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, somewhere along at mile 13, I missed the mile marker. Like I blew through it, didn't notice it, and that was where I was supposed to take my second caffeine gel, and I missed it. So when I saw mile 14, I was like, oh, shoot. And so I took it then. I don't know if it got in my head a little bit, but then from there on, I started really like losing track of where I should take a gel. So I know a couple towards the end in the 20s went back to back, and then I ended up with one extra that I didn't take. So I guess starting from there, things kind of.
How many gels did you take over the whole race? 8 or 9, right?
9.
9.
So I took one before the race, and then I was supposed to take 8 during.
Okay.
I ended up taking 7 because that last one I just didn't get in.
And then stuff from the race was water and Gatorade?
Water and Gatorade. I took water and Gatorade for most of them until Pace Guy passed me, and then I just didn't stop it anymore.
Yeah.
There's only 5K left at that point.
Okay.
Okay,
Koichi, how about you?
Yeah, according to plan, I love the Morton gels. I think I got that idea from you, Marilyn.
Yeah.
So it's not sticky, it doesn't get over your hands. It tastes like herbal jelly tea. So it doesn't have a bad taste at all. And so I had 10 gels. I just figured if it's so cold, if I had equipment failure, like one of them froze and opened, I'd still have a spare. So I had the caffeine version before the race started. And then just every half hour took one of those regular Morton gels. And then halfway took another caffeine and just did it at the bottom and top of the hour. Yeah, just looked at my watch and, oh, it's time. But that worked perfectly. I didn't feel like anything was sloshing around, even the hydration. It was just a alternative between water and Gatorade. Just,
I took both at each stop. I don't know if that was good or bad, but I couldn't finish the whole. Like sometimes they gave like a heavy pour.
Yeah.
And so I would just like take a couple sips and then get some water in just to make sure I was well hydrated, because they gave a warning at the beginning of the race saying to make sure you hydrate because it'll help against hypothermia. I didn't realize that, but they're like, if you're not going to feel thirsty, but make sure you drink, because they even had a pace. They said if you didn't hit 16 something, they're going to pull you off the course, because if you spend that long on the course, you'd be at risk for hypothermia.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. Lots of technique in drinking it.
I need to
like
learn
the
that.
pinch method.
I didn't do it. I forgot.
That helped.
Pinch and pour.
Yeah.
So overall, I think cool experiences for both of you. What was the vibe like on the ground? It was lots of fans and stuff lining the side of the road cheering you guys on?
Yeah,
or?
it was the fans.
I think it's always amazing to have people there, especially with the cowbells for me.
What were they along the entire route, or were you out for a bit where there were no fans?
In the city, there are certainly plenty of people. And I'd say in the outskirts, especially around Kelly Drive, on the way back, there seemed to be that right by Schuylkill River. And there's this incline that very windy. Nobody was there. That's like alone time where I struggled a little bit. Because I think definitely having those spectators, people cheering you on,
helps so much.
Really helps a lot, tremendously. It's just like, even though they're not calling your name, or I'm sure they wouldn't know how to say my name, but it's like, yeah, I can keep going, and it just gives you a lot of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like super appreciative for like those fans that like they're just standing in the cold. Like we're at least running and able to keep warm from it. They're like weathering like brutal winds and temperature, but their excitement level was so high, like more excited I think than the runners themselves. And I'm always amazed that just watching people running for a brief moment that they can be so supportive. And I think in that area when we got into miles 18 to 20, there was like another kind of mini downtown. It wasn't the city, but the streets were packed. Like it actually got bottlenecked because they were encroaching so much in the street, and like they were trying to give high fives and everything. But it was at the perfect moment, because that was like the pain zone, that 18 to 20, 26. But there was a lot of energy. There are people with Jameson shots in the first half, Jameson beer, whatever. It was like 8:30 in the morning. I was like, eh.
But you thought about it.
I thought about it. I was like, if this wasn't my first one, probably. or if it was later in the race and I was feeling good, then probably. But I didn't want to risk early on things going south.
So let's go ahead.
What were like the things that obviously you did well during that race? You think you did well?
Yeah, if you had to pick 2 or 3 things that you really nailed, either in the lead up to or the race itself, what do we got?
I think it's sticking with the plan, just feeling it out and knowing that, look, it's the long game that we're playing. Even though we might feel good in the beginning phases, the beginning few miles doesn't mean that you're going to last that way. And that's what I just learned. Just follow the plan, go a little bit faster, but don't like try to nail it because you're not going to last that long. And then the nutrition plan, I think it worked well.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't feel hungry at all. Just about right. Everything kind of clicked well. That's what I really enjoyed. Just didn't have to think about anything. I only had one equipment failure where the chest strap came off because I was adjusting, but I just kept going, put it back on, and just kind of dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, what went well was definitely training consistently. Really, being dedicated, getting into that groove. I think really focusing on staying in control, even though I didn't follow the plan per se. Like I was very aware of how I felt, evaluating, can I hold this pace? Like, is this something I can hold the entire time? And staying within that. So the entire time, my heart rate never felt uncomfortable. It was, I could have had a conversation the entire way. So I was going a little bit by feel, and then whatever that pace ended up being, I was comfortable with that, knowing that my heart rate felt fine. So I was very conscientious of that. And then I guess in the end, I think I'm learning to run with cramps better. Like I can tolerate it.
Embrace the suck.
Just
You've gotten used
I'm
to it.
figuring out methods to do it.
Because I feel like if some people cramp, they are done. They're on the. I mean, Sam Long on the side of the road during Ironman
Yeah, he
Arizona
had
this
that
past
happen.
weekend. He's on a fire hydrant posted up trying to stretch him out.
Mm-hmm.
You never slowed down below 9:30 pace.
Like I ran one of my splits was a 9-minute mile.
Yeah.
And I'm not it's full cramps on both quads. Like they are fully contracted, and I'm just, if part of me is like, either I solve how to not get cramps, or I just keep learning how to run with it. Like if I can get sub 9, like 8:30 with cramps, fine, I will do that. Like, so that I'm adapting to the cramps.
You mentioned about like staying in tune with how you felt. Did you have any watch issues, either of you guys? Because sometimes those big races, especially in the city, your watches like kind of go out of whack. I know it happened to a friend of mine. It's happened to me. The very big races, no? That's annoying when it happens, because you don't know, you can't judge where you are. Your pace is all off.
Greg had warned us that some of the downtown areas that we may lose GPS signal. So if we see a weird pace, to ignore it and just and we had done some marathon pace work to just know okay, this is what it should feel like, and so we worked on that. The only malfunction I think I had was after the fact, where my heart rate said I averaged like 170 with a peak of 196. Which
I saw that too.
That's not
your
that's
heart.
not right.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because you tell me that at that heart rate you shut down.
Like 165 is about my effective limit. So something with the cold, and
we've been seeing weird numbers for the last month or so.
Yeah, so I need to get back to the chest strap again. And
You didn't.
those are non-chest strap numbers.
no, this was my
Right.
Garmin watch. I also like,
That's why.
part of it
There we
was
go.
the chest strap was starting to irritate me too. Because my other one's getting a little old, and it's very intermittent. So I had to just stop using it. So I wasn't really worried too much about heart rate, because I know.
Yeah, we really didn't train with heart rate too much. I worked more with perceived effort and paces and stuff like that.
I hear my pulse at around 135, 140. Like I feel it in my ear, and that's my starting warning signal of, okay, danger zone's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Did either of you, in prepping for the race, do anything but run and stretch?
Training wise, he's talking about.
Well, did you just
There was cycling.
did you do any cycling? Did you do any swimming, or did you just run and felt like that's why the prep went so well? Or is it because you did some other stuff that you felt like the prep was good?
Objection, leading the witness here.
Yeah, really. Seriously.
Wink. Welcome to the Team Next Level Triathlon podcast.
I think that was a great part of it, just training for triathlon, different types of activities, whether it's swimming, cycling, or running. So leading up to the marathon, about 2 months,
6 weeks,
yeah, 6 weeks
ago.
before, pulled my right hamstring. Just not a tear or anything, but it was definitely very uncomfortable, and to the point where I could not really run. And Coach Greg, with everyone's support, just helped me to figure out like what else I could do. And then, Greg, you set up swimming and cycling after just some period of recovery time, and I think that kept my fitness overall very high and well. So I think that I was very pleasantly surprised once we got into running, like slow recovery, baby steps, measuring it out, make sure that things are working still. And it just, the timing was perfect, the way that you laid out the plans. And just like, instead of tapering off, going the other way, we're just like going up to the marathon event day.
Yeah.
And so that whole, the swimming, the cycling too, just like kept everything in good order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same. The swims I didn't really focus on, but we used it more as on a recovery day. So it was good to stretch out the muscles, get a little loose, get off my feet. I did mention before I tried doing CrossFit on Mondays on my recovery day early on in the training cycle, and I quickly had to take that out because I just was not recovering enough for the rest of the week. And then the trainer rides and the biking were perfect because it was a different kind of feeling on the legs. It wasn't as no impact, but we were still building engine. So I think we were really able to build a good base using cycling without having to do the like rough wear and tear on the body as compared to running. So that way we're able to train basically 6 days a week and not like burn out on just running.
How many days of cycling did you do?
Usually twice a week. So 4 days. 4 days
4
of running,
days of running.
2 days of cycling, and then optional kind of like a recovery swim on.
Yep. That was kind of our standard go-to plan for both of you guys. Koichi, we went to a 5th day of running, didn't we? Towards the end,
Right.
And that was really just because we were keeping the run shorter to make sure we didn't re-injure that hamstring pull. So we kept the run shorter but more frequent. And like I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks before the race that happened during those 800s at the track. And you took 2 weeks, no running. You were getting your PT treatment, you were doing all those exercises and stuff. And we leaned heavily into swimming and biking for that time. We'd use the biking to kind of build the aerobic engine, lower intensity, so we didn't put any more strain on that hamstring. And then we did some hard swimming to get the heart rate up and get that high end stimulus. And I think it was great because when you came back, we took about 2 weeks to build back up to your normal running pace and volume, and then off to the races. Literally, you destroy. Like I kind of thought this number where you finished before your injury was that's where I thought you'd be. And then with the injury, I really didn't know because I wasn't sure if will you be able to run the whole 26.2 and stuff like that. And then I was like, well, how much was lost? I really don't know that you lost any fitness in that 2 weeks of no running and another 2. So basically a month of limited running.
Yeah. I think two really great side effect benefits. I think for swimming, I just felt with the heavy emphasis on swim workouts, I just got better at swimming. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Faster, better technique emphasis. And then number 2 is, again, when we're all doing even volume, working out, the longer workouts, just realizing what's happening with your body and being able to adjust things like, gotcha, this is what's happening here. And I need to run on the other side of the road because of the camber of the road itself. And that adjusted things. And that's what I did in the race too, just able to adjust on the fly and fix things.
Mm-hmm.
That was just another added benefit there.
Yeah.
So what things did you think you had to fix in the race?
So it was maybe 3 times I started to feel my hamstring tightness, let's say. And all I did was just move to the other side of the road and it went away. And even the IT band would just come up a little bit. I would just get some early indicators. And I knew I need to widen my stance as I'm running. And it just went away. And just, even for the last few miles, I did get some cramps, but they were more like not consistent, but electrical. Like, oh wow, my toes just
Yeah.
cringe like that. And I think there's also a little bit of luck because at the expo before the race, we had sample leg cramp.
Highland, I think it was called. Have you heard of Highland?
No.
Like these pills, dissolvable pills.
Is it like mustard packets that people talk about to get
But
rid
it's
of
like
cramps?
it's like a pill, so it's like I don't know what the active ingredients
Did
were.
it help?
It helped briefly because we took them on. I took them on the run just in case. I'd never used them before. I know it's a big no, but I just took it just in case. And you're supposed to take like 2 every whatever. I just put all 4 in my mouth at once.
Sounds.
I got like
sounds perfect.
Why not?
some kind of good relief. Yeah, but that it was like it helped me for at least the next mile. I probably needed like 8 packets, and that would have helped. I brought 2, and I went through both.
Well, you took them all at once, so
No, there's 4 in one pack,
Oh.
and you're supposed to take like 2 at a time.
okay.
But my wife took 4 at a time the day before, and it worked. So I was like, I'll do it too then. So,
The dosage, but it was just a little bit of luck, and then just having that spare, but really helped. I think it did. At least in my mind, it did.
if it worked, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, we gotta get these pills. Like they're free pills here.
Yeah, whatever we could grab from the expo. I was actually putting my Garmin on the charger at the Garmin station for a little bit because I forgot to. Forgot to pack it, and I think that 80% probably would have been fine. And then I just broke down. I just bought a cable because I was like, I don't want that. Like, I don't even want to risk it. That somehow, like, let's say the battery just drained for some weird reason that I don't even have a watch. So I was like, I just bit the bullet, bought an expensive Garmin cable.
So what about you, James? Did you have to fix anything?
Not on the fly. I think if I think about the race, I knew like the plan was to be a little more conservative in the front half, and then the second half pick it up little by little, like 5 to 10 seconds per mile pace. I think I underestimated the amount of elevation from miles 18 to the finish, because the map, when you looked at 7 to 14, had like maybe it was like a couple 100 feet of elevation, and you're up there and then drops down, and then afterward it looks like these tiny little like rolling hills. So I was like, yeah, that's barely anything. And I think it was like 50 feet. And I was in my head, I'm in like cycling mode, like 50 feet of elevation, like that's not even like, you don't even feel that. Then like now thinking back, what 50 feet looks like when you're running is pretty tough. So I was trying to pick up my pace, and I was for a little bit during those hills, and I should have probably just understood, you know what, I'm not going to be able to speed up here. Just do what feels comfortable. And I ended up burning out my legs there. So I should have fixed that, but I was trying to hit a certain pace.
So no major issues. Pretty good.
Yeah, no pain, nothing. It was, everything else felt really good.
Awesome. So where do we go from here? Where's the
Disneyland.
or I guess a better way to say it, what can you take from this experience, this race, moving forward into whether it's another marathon or next year's triathlon season? Like, what kind of, you should learn something from every race you do.
To learn.
You know, what did you learn?
Cramp pills.
It is a thing. So I think for every event, every challenge, we're always trying to push the boundaries, mental and physical. I mean, the mental part is huge, right? For me, I need to know like when the hills are coming up, just so that I'm not, oh my goodness, I've got to run up this, just tackle it. But every event just helps you learn. And then I think next year when we have 1 or 2 half Ironmans, it'll be easier to do. And then the full Ironman comes along. I think that, we just learned a lot from this experience where we know how to self-adjust and pace ourselves. We just learn from mistakes. We just need to keep making mistakes too. Otherwise, we're not going to ingrain them in our heads next time along.
So Koichi, we had a couple of episodes ago, we talked about our goals and stuff like that. And one of the things that came up in that was like, we always kind of, when we finish a race, we always question, like, was that as hard as I could have gone? Like, how much, when you crossed the line, how much more do you think you might have had in the tank?
I think I still had quite a bit because sometimes you get into this mindset like, oh, this is so hard. But then you just like, hold on, still breathing. It's not like you're breathing hard. It's just like, get yourself together, get your form back, and then snap back into it. I did have more reserves, but I also knew like, look, if I'm cramping a little bit, I don't want to fail right before the finish line. I need to finish, and I'm going at a good pace. I need to make Coach Greg proud. Right. So, so really important just to be consistent, not try to just kill it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because there will be other races.
when I crossed the finish line, I don't think I had much left at all. And funny story was, I cross the finish line. I'm walking towards the tents. They're handing food out and whatever, and then like I feel this really tight sensation in my chest, like on my left side.
That was my hand.
And then it starts like radiating to like my arm. I'm like, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? Like, and I was like, maybe I should go to medical. I'm weighing out. Then I'm like, my wife is gonna kill me if I'm having a heart attack right now. So I was like, really think about this. And then I started feeling, oh, my right side is tight too. And then I realized I must have been
tense.
sore from like just this, and then maybe being cold, and like maybe I was clenching hard. So I was actually like cramping or something on my pecs, and it was just the pain was like going out. But I actually thought like I might fall over like anywhere from that 5K in, because I just kept running as hard as I could in my head with the cramps. And I was like, if I fall over, like I don't care, I'll fall over and just keep getting up and falling over because I have to like catch this 4-hour pace guy. Like that's all I could think about. But what did I learn? Oof.
Yeah,
I don't
what
know.
can you take away from it?
Maybe I have to look at a different approach. Maybe dial in heart rate a little more. I was watching John's latest video where he's like, I feel like his videos are aimed right at me. Do you warm up before a race?
Did you warm
I
up?
did.
Okay.
Koichi, it would be my proof. I led a warm up with him. We did it. Dynamic warm up. We didn't run like a mile. Like we jogged, in the corral area, but we did dynamic warm up, all the muscle groups. It was good. So I learned that. I definitely did that. But yeah, maybe I have to monitor heart rate a little more, because maybe I don't think it was hydration, nutrition, or electrolytes. So then the last thing is just, it's like exertion. Did I go too hard and not realize it? So maybe I have to start looking at that a little bit more and be open to that. I want to do a sweat test to dial that in. I have to learn to not set up these just random numbers in my head and let that bring me down. It's like I just got to understand, like I kept thinking back, like the journey and the process was great. Like I appreciate running a lot more now, and I think I can enjoy it. I'm looking forward to trail running in this off season. I'm looking forward to like a half marathon. I feel like, just do a half marathon now. It's there. So, I guess I guess not be so hard on myself. I don't know, but yeah,
Train for where you are, not some random number, right?
Exactly.
It's tough, especially when the numbers point towards something close to that number. Like it would be great if you were in a certain shape and I was able to say like, no, like 408's your number, So then you're not like, oh, I'm going to be so close to, or 417.30 is your number or something, or 347, like, something not even close to a nice round, even number.
Yeah.
Cause then you don't have that, it's a completely arbitrary point in time, but I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, I want to break 3 hours. I want to break 4 hours. I want to,
I got to learn to pick random. Like I want to break 4 hours, 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
Right. Then you succeeded.
And I would have been, I would have been super happy.
Or the lesson is Greg needs to sandbag the estimates. So
Yeah. Right. It's a learning process. I have to this is my first marathon.
Exactly.
I'm still
and
new.
Even for the professionals, on any given day, you don't know what your body's how it's gonna perform. So
yeah, and I tried to go into that mindset going to the race, like, hey, like we can't control the weather, right? This is not ideal condition, so I should throw out any like
Right. That changes a lot.
Yeah, preconceived
Mhm.
notions of this race now, like that's out the window because this is something we couldn't have prepared for.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like, oh, I came so close, like 4 hours and 28 seconds. I was like, oh,
and both of your Garmin's registered long. Now that's because you're not taking the apex
You
on the
gotta run the
corners.
tangents.
You're
yeah.
not
I
running the
tried.
tangents and
I
stuff.
tried.
Run
I
the
was thinking
tangents.
about it.
But according, if we go by your fastest 26.2, you did break through 4 hours. You were at like 3:57 something.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So
I feel a little bit better.
don't beat yourself up too much.
I
I
know,
was
James.
so impressed. I was honestly so
Same.
impressed by both of you guys. James, for your first marathon, like there was no real drop off. I know you think the hills at whatever those last couple of hills. Part of me thinks it was the downhill before that might have kind of slammed your quads a little bit, and
Yeah.
then transitioning into some rollers might have been tough. Because at the end, that, like I said, that fast mile coming down the hill, after that, your pace started to drop. And that could be the hills, that could be both. It could just be everything. It's
Yeah.
tough, and it could just be you're freaking freezing cold.
Could have been the cold. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
so many variables. For your first time, you didn't blow up. You know,
No. Right.
Yeah, lots of great things, good things. Even our last minute decisions in terms of clothing, right? And
Yeah, I was stressing out about the
Experience.
cold because I like to run in shorts. And then I was questioning myself, should I run in shorts? And then with the wind chill, I was like, oh, like what if my skin actually like hurts? So after dinner, we went out to dinner the night, the day right before the race, and then like there was like a TJ Maxx and found like a pair of like those thermals or something, and decided, all right, I'm just gonna do it, and it was perfect. It was exactly. I think I would have been
Probably a
uncomfortable
good
without it.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You needed to wear pants.
But but what my issue was that I brought shorts that had the liner. I was like, oh, if it's going to be super uncomfortable with thermals and then liners underneath, I was like wondering if that's going to chafe. And that's what I was worried about. If I had brought, so lesson learned, I should bring 2 pairs of shorts just in case, one without a liner, one with, just in case I have to make that decision.
Mm.
Mhm.
awesome guys. Well, thank you both so much for sharing your experience with us. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to be learned from it for people who are seasoned marathoners and people thinking about doing their first one. So we appreciate you guys coming on, being open with us, and honestly, congrats to both of you. It was an awesome performance for both of you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
And thank you, Greg, for
Great job.
like guiding us through this. Thank you guys for training alongside of us. Like, I would selfishly try to get people to come out on long runs on the weekends, and whoever could come would come, and that definitely helped because training alone does get tough. So
Mhm.
everyone, having the supportive team was great.
yeah, thank you, Greg, for all the support and coaching, and just support from Marilyn, Rich, and the rest of the Next Level team. It really does make a difference, just knowing that you're always working out, and I need to get up. Otherwise, there's a little shame and
Yes.
not doing it. But it makes a difference just every day. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
you guys
Awesome.
did knocked it out of the park. Did
Yep.
great.
It's exciting to see what's going to come next.
Mhm.
Very exciting.
Marathons for everybody else all around.
I might join you guys in the next one. We'll see.
Yes. Philly. That's what I needed to ask you, Greg.
What do you need to ask me?
Well, if we do Wilmington, I think it's like October 15th ish,
Do we want this on the record?
possibly. And I feel like I have a score to settle with Philly.
Hmm.
Can you do a half Ironman mid-October, and then November 20th go right into a marathon?
Do we
No.
want this on the record?
Wrong answer.
You
Sorry,
asked that
wrong
last
answer.
year.
You can't do both of them well. No. So you'd have to make a decision.
There are other marathons you can look at, I'm sure. And if not, we'll just create one.
I just have a score to settle with this course now. It's like, all right.
But you have a score
You'll
to
be
settle
back.
with every course you do.
I know.
Name one that you don't have a score to
If
settle
you can
with.
wait 2 years, then we do a September Ironman and have 2 or 3 weeks, or 2 or 3 months to get ready for that. That's a more like, well,
Wait.
we don't
You
know
That
how
works
long.
good.
You can do an Ironman and then
Depends
do
how
a
much you need to
marathon a month-
recover.
Oh,
No, not a
September.
month.
Okay.
2 months.
2.5 months later. It depends. If you're looking for a performance, that's it's a tough call. You can't.
I'm weighing out in my
Just be
head
patient.
it
going rogue and doing it, and then end up doing even worse, and then having more built
Have a
up.
Right. That's
Bigger
why.
score to settle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a score at AC to settle. He's got a score
You
at
have a lot
Muscle
of
Man
races
to
to do.
settle.
There's a pattern here.
Yeah.
He just keeps piling them on. Next year I got 5 races I got to
Yeah.
do. Lots of scores.
I have to beat these courses into submission, basically.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
It's my way of saying no. Everybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. And if you like what you heard, please subscribe, leave us a comment, and catch us next time. Take care, everybody. Thanks again. Thank you again for listening to the Team Next Level Coaches Roundtable. We love bringing you content that we think will help you with your athletic journey, whatever that may be. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a review, drop us a 5-star rating in whatever podcast app you like to use, or leave us a comment about things you'd like to hear in the future. If you'd like to learn more about Team Next Level and all we offer, please go check out our website, goteamnltry.com. That's goteamnltry.com. There, you can find out about all the things we offer, such as our training squad for people in the northern New Jersey area, one-on-one coaching options for both local and remote athletes, as well as more useful content for those of you just looking to learn a little bit more about us. Remember, that's goteamnltry.com. Thank you again for giving us a listen, and for myself and all the coaches, we can't thank you enough for listening to our podcast and spending some time with us.